Hey guys, so I just wanted to give my overall review of the X Files season 11. I haven't been able to do reaction videos in a couple of weeks because of my schedule. I have been able to do like a few reaction videos to maybe like the first two episodes and season and episodes 4 and 6. I was not able to do a reaction video to episode season 11 to episode 3 of the season plus one, where it was just basically these two siblings who I guess like one was in a mental institution, one was like living in some like rundown house, and they were psychic, and they were just like playing some like psychic version of Hangman, where they were like trying to get people, driving people to like who see like doppelgangers of themselves to like drive each other to like kill themselves. And it was just something that was like kind of confusing, and I was kind of couldn't get invested into, which is why I ultimately didn't post a reaction to that, just because it's like, if you're not gonna enjoy, if I'm not gonna enjoy watching this episode or gonna invest in watching this episode, if I enjoy watching this video and watching the episode, I figured you guys were gonna find enjoy seeing my reaction to it. That was the one where I think it probably had to be like easily hands down like the weakest episode of the whole season, and it was it was just like a strange episode, and it just kind of part of the whole ongoing on again off again relationship that Mulder and Scully seem to have, in which this case they seem to be back on again. Um, and I wasn't able to do. I guess like, my reaction to Ghoulie was blocked. That was one where, for some reason, we brought Mulder and Scully's son back into the picture, and um, that was just where he was like using like apparently his power. Apparently, he has the ability to create illusions, or like almost looks like he's turning some kind of monster, like scare the crap out of people, and got two girlfriends that he was dating at the same time to like attack one another, and he just thought it was just some innocent prank, not expecting like how it would go that far, which is kind of stupid. And but basically, he's on the run from corrupt government officials on the smoking man's payroll, and um, he interacts with Scully just in this guise of different people, but not in his own, but not like as himself, but just disguising himself to look like different public figures and strangers. Just because it's like that's his power, just like illusion. I guess like casting like illusions is apparently, and as you later find out in the episodes, I guess a form of telekinesis where he gets people to spontaneously combust. Um, and it was and like I mentioned in like I guess for the season premiere, I was kind of like let down that the whole like vision of the whole thing about Scully and Mulder being in the middle of like a whole like pandemic outbreak launched by like the cigarette smoking man, and the cliffhanger it ended on at the end of season 10 with Mulder getting sick. I just thought that was kind of and in terms of like, oh, it was just a vision of the future by Scully, I thought that was just kind of a letdown. I just felt like, oh, this could have been like, but I guess like or maybe just something they could have been like planned. They could have been like a series finale for this show, because of the fact that Gillian Anderson said that she was not interested in like reprising her role for any future seasons of the X Files. So you can't have one. You can't really have one without the other. You already tried for seasons 8 and 9 to have like they're just like two peas in the. I feel like they're like kind of the bread and butter. They're like the heart. They're both the heart of the show. You don't have, and when one goes missing, the other suffer. When we don't have one, we don't have either one of these people, then the show suffers. Like you saw that with season 8 and 9, in which Mulder was gone for like most of season 8 and almost the entirety, for me at least more than half of season 8, almost the entirety of season 9, and those are probably the least enjoy. And I think because the show got less enjoyable for fans at large, and but I did like but like I said, but compared to like season, they definitely like this season was definitely a lot better than like season was definitely better than season 10, especially with this having like some really strong standalone episodes. Especially like the Lost Art of Forehead Sweat. Like that was a really funny one where you had this guy named Reggie who you thought he was basically crazy and going into the idea of the Mandela effect and like memory, some this conspiracy about memory manipulation um and I guess and also the idea that this is a guy who actually worked on the X Files, who with Mulder and Scully in their especially in their earlier years, but they just don't remember him because Mandela effect and memory manipulation, and then you have this guy being carried away in Stray Jacket, and then you just think like, oh, the guy just made it up in his head, and I like that whole and I like the whole joke about like Shaquille O'Neal and Shazam, in which Scully was Scully remembered some other version of that movie with another actor, and Mulder was saying it's like, well, if you don't remember it, you win either way, and I liked how like the whole thing at the end where they took a shot at the Trump administration as heavy handed as it was, with aliens coming down like on a Segway and with this cheesy little UFO and saying how they're going to create a barrier around um, the solar system, saying like Earthlings bring nothing but criminals. You bring your crime, you're rapists. Some of you may be good people, and then you have like David Duchovny gives this like um this like childlike tantrum like here's a book of all the answers to the truth and aliens and government conspiracies and all life in the universe, which I thought was easily enhanced on one of the best episodes of this in the season. But you also have Kitten, where you have Haley Joel Osment going after Skinner because he blames him for lying about his father being affected by a chemical agent used in Vietnam that caused people to see like monsters or hallucinate. And I mean, the thing is, like that episode, like I never really understood his motives for why he was going after. His motives were not really clear about why he was doing what he was doing. I mean, again, he was going after Skinner, but why go after everybody else who, I guess, was affected by the chemical agent? Where I guess he wanted it exposed. Like that was just weird. But the last few episodes I really didn't get to go and dive into is probably episode 7, where it deals with. I mean, it was a pretty good episode. It was decent, but it just kind of felt like that could have been like a short film where you can kind of pluck any two people into it, and it didn't have to be Mulder and Scully. Right? Basically, they go to this sushi restaurant. They're basically having to order from like a digital menu, and they're struggling with different technologies from like a like using like an automated car like to drive Scully home, which is kind of based on like the cars that automated cars that Google's been working on, like an Uber kind of system where they have to take surveys. When they have to take surveys, they kind of like yell commands and it's not being recognized. Mulder being on the phone trying to have it deal with the voice answering service and go through all these like different menu options, and because his credit card got left there and he didn't want to leave a tip because of the bad service, and he was trying to recover his credit card, get a new one, and then he was just like he tried to shout into the phone and or just try to say his name into the phone and do like the callback messaging, do the callback service as opposed to like being left on hold, but it didn't recognize his voice. So it's like little things like that that made it like feel like it did like I feel like it did a better job than this season. Season 11 did a better job than season 10 trying to feel like, resonate more with the audience and feel more relevant to like ongoing things and more like ongoing stuff in the world, and kind of just touching on like how would Mulder and Scully react to you know living in the times that we're in. But I guess that, and then you have like another episode like Familiar, where they go to a small town, and that's being like, is being cursed, where it's like children are being murdered by this like apparitions that look like Teletubby knockoffs, or this super creepy TV mascot with like it's like, it still chuckles too, like a frozen smile, like bug eyed and stuff like that. And then you find out it was a woman who was like trying to curse her husband for cheating, and then you realize she's unleashed like hellhounds, and you know his aberrations is trying to like just end up cursing the whole town, and ends up trying to kill herself, trying to undo the whole thing. And then you have Nothing Lasts Forever, where you have Mulder and Scully investigating a former TV star who she started like this whole cult, and it was like this thing like, I think like Familiar and Nothing Lasts Forever have like huge creep factors, which I guess is the reason why, I guess, harkening back, which is basically why I enjoy these episodes. They kind of get me like on edge. Nothing Lasts Forever because of the fact that she starts this cult where it's like her followers just like disembowel themselves, and it's like their organs and shit are just put into like a blender, and she drinks this to maintain her youth. And there's this woman who becomes a vigilante, who knows about the call-ins, like killing people on connected to the call, and like enacting justice, and because her sister's become part of this cult and wants to bring her home and doesn't want her to fall victim to it. And she ends up like killing the woman who's like in charge of the whole cult, and finding her sister, who was like sewed together to the back of a guy who was basically just, I don't know, it was just like, almost like she was kind of just like, I don't want to say like actually draining her of her energy, but it was just like it was the whole thing that was kind of like, it was kind of killing the sister, but keeping the guy alive. And it's like Mulder and Scully busted her for what she was doing, especially after she killed the woman behind the leader of the cult. But she was willing to go to jail and acknowledge what she was doing, because she was just like, as long as she got her sister out of the cult, she didn't care. And it was kind of sad, because it's like the mom had to trade in one daughter for another because of this whole thing. And my struggle was probably their season finale, and possibly series finale, in which you still have that loose end of William being on the run from a cigarette smoking man, and Mulder being desperate to track him down, and basically like it's going back to William's power of being able to cast illusion and cause people to spontaneously combust. He is basically picking off major players affiliated with the cigarette smoking man and the syndicate one by one. You have Monica Reyes, who joined up with the cigarette smoking man as a means to try to, I guess, I don't know, it was kind of sad because I kind of liked that character. Basically just joined the cigarette smoking man as a means of trying to survive the virus that he was planning to unleash, but he ends up getting killed by Skinner when she tries to run him over with a SUV she's driving at him, like he shoots the windshield, killing her, and he has to dive under the car just so he doesn't get run over. And cigarette smoking man tries to go after William, because apparently because Monica says whoever controls the future. I guess somebody said whoever controls this, William controls the future, but because of his whole illusion casting, William tricks the cigarette smoking man into shooting him, thinking that he was Mulder, and then Mulder, who is pissed and sees the whole thing, like just like unloads like his whole just fires multiple bullets into the cigarette smoking man, and so they have like both corpses fall into the I guess fall into the body of water, and you know, Scully accepting the fact that William was never really their son, like he was just an experiment, especially when he presumably learns the truth from Skinner that cigarette smoking was a father, and and the purposes that he had for William, and Mulder's distraught because like, oh, he was our son and everything, and it's like, what am I if I'm not a father? And Scully reveals that she's pregnant with Mulder's child for real this time, as like is like a legitimate child they probably fathered from back from episode 3, and not presumably not part of a government experiment. So it was kind of a nice way to like wrap up the season and kind of like tie up loose ends. With them kind of being because Alvin Kirsch coming in just being pissed, and just like in the end of season 9, like wanting to shut down the X-Files and wanting both of their badges, that they kind of like settle down and kind of move on with their lives, and then William, who realized like survived the gunshot wound, can like go into hiding and anonymity without anybody else coming after him. And I mean, you figure like the cigarette smoking man's I mean, you saw the cigarette smoking man got shot, but at the same time, you saw at the end of season 9, he got like you've seen the guy die multiple times, either being pushed down a flight of stairs, or just being blown up by helicopter missiles. So it's like he seems to survive in one form or another inexplicably. But I guess like the thing is that it's weird. I guess like the biggest question you have coming out of the X Files at this point, and especially the revival, is that can this show like stay relevant? And I guess in this I guess in the climate that we're in, yeah, it can stay I don't know. I just feel like maybe this show could stay relevant, but you have to like not completely not completely revamp it, but adjust it for the time. Because I think people can agree that the whole mythology stuff and government conspiracy stuff relating to the syndicate has gotten more convoluted over time. With at least from what I've seen of the show, I haven't seen every season from it involve. I mean, I know it involves like it's originally involved like government officials making contact with aliens and conspiring with them and saying that they agreed to allow them to colonize the Earth and agree in exchange for being protected. At the same time, it involving people from alien black oil to super soldiers who were like immortal and survived any injury, almost like Wolverine or Deadpool, and they all only be killed by magnetite, which caused them to turn into like metal and fly into the wall, or something like. And now you have like William, who apparently now he has all these like grab bag of superpowers that apparently was connected. Then you have like this but then you have season 10, which retconned it into being like a human conspiracy who like ripped off steal the technology from human beings and try to create and cigarette smoking man, I guess, try to create a virus to recreate the world in his image, or just do something like that. Or something where it's just like it's almost like they ripped off the plot of like Captain America's Civil War to try to stay relevant. Or now it's like apparently now he needs the sun to create that virus, even though I don't know but it's never clear. Like, does he need to like harvest his blood or like a sample of his blood to create this virus that was gonna like kill everybody? And I never understood like, okay, so clearly William's a human alien hybrid, so it's like, how come the super soldiers are kind of don't have, or just kind of more like invulnerable or immortal, and and then William has this like grab bag of superpowers where illusion casting and like telekinesis or at least that causes people to spontaneously combust. It's just like, I mean, it's almost like Chris Carter's trying to come across as like he knows what he's doing. He both has like long his long term planner, but I feel like he's just trying to he just knows how to like pull stuff out of his ass and try to make it look like he's know what he's doing when he's just kind of like doing stuff off the cuff. And it just feels like the mythology stuff, like with aliens, the syndicate, like that has to like do away with that. But episodes like like I just talked about, this is season as a whole made me feel like this is a show I could keep like following and watching. And could stay relevant. It could be like just if it just stays as maybe a supernatural, as like a paranormal procedural. This it made me feel like I don't know the show as a whole made me feel like it still had some life in it, but at the same time it's like the syndicate like UFO stuff like it has no place in it, like it's irrelevant now. It's not going to resonate with the audience like it did back in the 90s, and I guess it's more convoluted that I feel like it feels like it is kind of like a dead weight for the series that if you just kind of like get rid of that, then maybe we just be better off, and it's a show that needs to like adjust for the times. But then people would complain that I'm sure people would just probably complain that it's getting too far away from what made the X Files, which is like the government conspiracy and alien stuff that created that was such a huge sell and like that made a key factor to its success and to what makes the show what it is, and it's. So I don't know. It's just like it's just hard to say. I just feel like the whole alien stuff, the whole stuff with aliens and syndicate related conspiracy stuff, like the myth arc of the show started out with. That ideally the show could continue, in my opinion, if they just do away with that stuff. But I don't know. It seems like I don't know if but it feels like it seems like the. I think 24 had the same struggle too, where it's just like the political climate or like the kind of pop culture climate we're in, the kind of like the political climate we're in, or the kind of or like what's like the big like draw or mainstay of like pop culture. Like in the 90s it was like UFOs and government conspiracies, and the 2000s, for 24 it was just like terrorism and that fear, keeping our country safe, and like the post 9/11 effect, and so I don't know. Like I said, I just feels like it has potential to like resonate and stay relevant, but it's just like can it, in my opinion, and I don't think I really feel like taking away like the myth the mythology arc with the syndicate stuff should take away from that, but maybe it does. Maybe it does for some people. That's just my thoughts on it. But what are your thoughts on it? How do you guys like season 11? How do you think it measures up to previous seasons of the show? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.